Hi, it's your gal Leah here, and welcome if this is your first time watching one of my videos, and welcome back if you've watched one previously. In this video, I wanted to share with you a recap of my last relaxer touch-up, which actually happened yesterday. So before jumping in, I want to give you a few minutes to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Let me tell you, subscribing to a YouTube channel like mine is pretty easy. It's simple and it's free. All you have to do is hit a red button that has subscribe on it. And once you are a subscriber, it's kind of beneficial because you'll be able to more easily find past videos that I have, and also you'll be able to more easily find and watch new videos when I upload them. Okay, now that you subscribe, let's go ahead and get into my relaxer retouch recap. So as I mentioned, I got my relaxer retouch yesterday, and I was 11 weeks post, which is actually 1 week shy of what I typically do. I typically go 12 weeks. And the reason I went 11 weeks was really just because of my next touch-up. When that would happen, it's pretty much got some scheduling issues going on because of some travel I'm doing, travel my stylist is doing, and then also with some holidays coming up, it was just going to be a bit of a mess. So I said if I go a week earlier this time around, I can go a bit earlier the next time around, and then it just kind of all evens out, right? So this relaxer touch-up was a bit different than the last one because I have been several months protein overload free. It's like, yes! Hallelujah. Before my last relaxer touch-up, I think it was a couple weeks beforehand, I had declared myself protein overload free. So even though I've been protein overload free for a few weeks, my hair still has damage and some effects from the protein overload that I had. And I was noticing some of that during this last 11-week relaxer stretch that I had. And so I was anticipating my relaxer touch-up to probably not go as well as I would have liked it to, or as well as it could go. So even though I was anticipating my relaxer touch-up would not have the kind of results that I was hoping for, my hair probably wouldn't look as good as I wanted it to, I did want to make sure that I still went through my preparation routine for my relaxed hair. And so before I get my touch-ups, usually the day before, I will put some oil on my scalp. Right now I've been using Jamaican black castor oil. And then I also will put some kind of oil or a cream or petroleum-based product on the rest of my hair to help protect it from relaxer runoff. And this time around, I decided to use coconut oil. I've kind of gotten back into coconut oil this last relaxer stretch, and that's something that I've been using in the past, in the beginning of my hair journey, and it served me really well then. So the touch-up actually went better than I anticipated. I had no burning or irritation on my scalp, which is something I typically don't have anyway, but my scalp had been kind of itching the week leading up to my touch-up. So sometimes when that would happen, the relaxer would somewhat irritate my scalp, but I didn't have any of that happen, which was pretty awesome. We also changed up the order of the application of the relaxer. During my last touch-up, my stylist had noted that my hair, kind of like in the middle of my head, tends to be the thickest. So she said that's the place that should be processing the longest. So she did the back of my head, the top, did my nape, and then did the left, did the right, and then did the front. And so that's kind of how she applied it, so that each section was processing a little bit less as you kind of went over, but the application was just totally based on which areas are the thickest, and so thus would need the longest amount of processing time. After applying the relaxer, she got me right under the water, neutralized, washed my hair, deep conditioned, and then she blow dried my hair straight and then gave me a cut. Now, this is where I want to say things started going south, but what I kind of anticipated ended up happening. My ends were a bit of a mess. I had noticed halfway through my relaxer stretch that my ends were starting to look kind of janky. I was not happy with the way they were looking. I did introduce coconut oil back into the mix, which I know in the past it kind of helped me to start getting my ends looking better. And my ends were looking better, but they weren't up to my standards. I have high standards, what can I say? So once my hair was like all relaxed and she blew me out, we took a look at my hair and my ends were looking a little janky. They also were not straight. And part of that is just because I've got breakage in certain parts of my hair because of the the protein overload. So essentially the protein overload gave me somewhat of a layered cut. I've got short hairs all over the place, but there are some areas that have had some serious breakage, like along my nape. There was breakage from the protein overload. That's actually the first place where we started to really notice the breakage. I've got breakage up here, which is why I've got bangs, even though I never asked for them. I can't stand it that I'm growing out bangs. I've done that in the past and I hated it. And then actually during this last relaxer stretch, I started to have breakage in the front here and the front here. And it was really just like my ends is where a lot of the breakage was happening. And so that's kind of why things were kind of off and you could see through my hair. And so I told my stylist, let's just cut it off. So basically every inch that I gained during this last stretch essentially got chopped off to make things more even. My hair looks so much better now that things have been chopped off. Like I said, I do have a bit of an unasked for layered cut, but I'm living with it. I've had layered haircuts before and I liked them then, and I had actually been thinking about getting a layered haircut again in the future, but so now I got one and didn't even ask for it. But despite all of that, my hairstylist did say that my hair seems to be on the right track. She did say that it's looking thicker all over. She said that it's feeling strong, and that the areas that had breakage previously, not the new areas, but the areas that had breakage previously from the protein overload are growing out. So that is pretty awesome. So apparently some of the things that I've been doing have been working. So my stylist did notice though that my hair was feeling kind of dry, and I had noticed that over the last couple of weeks myself. I think some of it is probably due to the fact that I have not been drinking a lot of water. I even told my stylist, I said there were some days over the last couple of weeks that instead of filling up my water bottle at work, which is a pretty big size water bottle, instead of filling it up like 3 times during the day, I was filling up maybe once or no times during the day. So I obviously was not drinking a lot of water, and I was also feeling it in my skin as well, that my skin was kind of drying out. So I know that's probably one thing. And then there was one hair product that I use that I knew had the tendency to dry out my hair, and yet I used it, and yeah, my hair started feeling dry, and I used it for 2 weeks, and those are the 2 weeks that my hair started feeling dry. Plus I tried air drying my hair as well, and I know that in the past when I've tried air drying my hair tends to dry out sooner during the week, and it takes a lot more maintenance to keep it feeling moisturized and hydrated. So I think the combination of all 3 of those happening is what made my hair feel a bit dry. So my stylist told me I should be applying a light oil to my hair and my scalp to keep it feeling not dry. And I'm kind of like, I can buy the oil to the scalp. Oil to the hair is great to seal it in, but oil doesn't add any moisture to my hair. So I was like, just kind of nodding along and thinking in my head, no. So overall, my stylist and I are happy with the direction that my hair is taking, and so I'm hoping that I'll be able to continue it on this track and really help it to fully recover and get over the damage that protein overload caused. And I'm actually going to do another video, a separate video, where I'm going to talk more about the state of my hair and what I'm going to be doing to help it get to that healthy state again. So that's it. That is a recap of my 11-week relaxer stretch and relaxer touch-up. So I'm curious, how long have you been stretching your relaxer, and what was your last relaxer touch-up like? Did you like the results that you had or not? Please go ahead and share them in the comments below, and also please go ahead and like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please be sure to share it. And don't forget, before you finish watching, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.